I'm just totally in love with it.
Well, if history proves anything, it is that sometimes buyers' reactions are not always predictable. Whilst showing Ross around that medieval house, I was a bit concerned that maybe it was a step too far for a man who wanted everything contemporary and sleek. But as it turned out, both he and Nicola absolutely loved it. However, though, the road next door was a deal breaker, despite the fact the house itself was absolutely fantastic. And I suppose that just goes to prove that location really is all important. But whether it's medieval mullions you're after or Jacobean jewels, take a look at this selection of properties currently on the market from all over the country and for all kinds of budgets.
This Grade 2 listed thatched lodge is priced at just under £500,000. Situated in the village of Owsden in Suffolk, this mid-19th century brick and flint house retains much of its period charm, including open fireplaces and stone mullioned casement windows. The house has 3 bedrooms and 4 reception rooms. Or for £1,225,000, this former medieval hunting lodge with mature gardens and 3 ponds is in the village of Norton Little Green in Suffolk. Not surprisingly, it's Grade 2 star listed and it dates from the 16th century, has 6 bedrooms and 3 reception rooms. But if you want a property with over 700 years of history, then take a look at this. At £2 million, this Grade 2 listed manor house is situated outside the village of Capel in Surrey. With records dating back to 1282, this magnificent property has extensive formal gardens. Inside there is a wealth of original features, including oak doors and floorboards.
Well, it is, of course, a sad fact of life that things get lost and, of course, they get damaged. But what do you do if it's a 14th century doorknob or indeed an 18th century window stay? Well, I'm here at Cork Abbey to meet a man who's made a business out of replacing the irreplaceable.
I'm meeting David Benford from Blackstage, a company that specialises in repairing and replacing antique ironmongery.
Hi, I'm David. Good to meet you.
What a wonderful location here.
It's fantastic. Our blacksmiths are very busy here at the moment. I'd like to show you around if possible.
Yeah, please do. Show me around. What a great location. Isn't it amazing?
Fantastic.
David's company recently replaced the locks and latches in the hut used by Shackleton in his attempt to reach the South Pole. Today, however, we're in a warmer and slightly grander location. In a state of decline and disrepair, Cork Abbey was donated to the National Trust in 1985, and since then a major maintenance project has been carried out. No less important, however, are the outbuildings, so David is taking me to the stable block at the back of the house.
So David, tell me a little bit more about the work that you're doing here.
This house was constructed in the mid-18th century, and over that period of time everything's had a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And there are some window fittings that are broken and missing, and we aim to replace them using sort of traditional sensitive methods to the architecture of the building.
But I imagine easier said than done.
Certainly is. There's a lot of work involved.
Let's have a look around inside. Wow, so this is what you're up to?
This window is broken, this iron stay is broken off, and we can't refit it, so what we're going to do is hand forge a new one and fix it to the window so the window can operate effectively again.
Well, there are an awful lot of windows around here.
There are a lot of windows.
You've got a lot
of windows. We're doing them one at a time, and each piece is made individually for each window.
Everyone handmade?
Everyone handmade.
And the hands with such a mammoth responsibility belong to Greg and his apprentice, who have a forge a couple of miles away.
Well, that sounds industrious. Through this door?
Here's the forge. Please come in, Jules. Let me introduce you to the blacksmiths.
Oh, now then, what a scene. Hello, nice to see you.
This is David.
Hello, David, nice to meet you. I'm Jules.
This is Greg.
Hello, Greg.
Nice to meet you, Jules.
Nice to see you. Well, this is a fantastic looking forge. This is what I imagine a blacksmith's forge to really look like in the kind of traditional sense. How old is it?
This is the original forge.
So this has been a forge for hundreds of years then?
That's right.
The thing I love about this is that you're very much keeping these old traditions alive, and clearly you're the new apprentice. When did you become a fully qualified blacksmith?
I'm getting there now, but you never stop learning anyway.
So when Greg says so, you're qualified?
Yeah.
How's he doing?
When I have to stop making the tea is when it's got from.
So, how do we begin? There's our old one.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the new one.
So obviously extra length to allow for the folding and forming of the eye and the rolling up of that.
And without any ceremony, the wrought iron goes straight into the forge. The forge makes quick work of melting the metal, so it's on with the safety goggles. The original piece was made from wrought iron, which today is no longer produced on an industrial scale, so Greg has to source his from scrap dealers and foreign stocks.
How do you know when it's hot enough?
Needs to reach fire welding temperature, which is with iron is a white heat.
White heat.
Yeah.
Look at that. Wow.
The first stage is to make an eye at the end of the stay, so Greg makes quick work of flattening the metal. Speed is of the essence, as the cooler the iron gets, the less malleable it becomes. A quench in the water and it's cool enough to handle.
So there's our eye.
Yeah, now I'm passing that to David to do the second part of forming the eye by cutting the notches out either side.
Yeah.
Although traditionally the notches would have been chiselled away, the modern convenience of a hacksaw makes a more accurate and speedier cut. And the elbow work, of course, falls to the apprentice.
Hey, look at that. There it is.
It's amazing to see the speed at which Greg and David operate. Teamwork is essential.
To watch it happen is just terrific, really.
They're the best.
It's beginning to take shape, and David is kind enough to offer me a chance of helping out.
You can have a go at doing it with a hot set if you like.
Yeah, what, heating it up?
Yeah, well, I've never had an apprentice before, so yeah, you can be my first one.
All right then, you're on. Go on then. So I'm holding this, you're going to whack it.
So are you ready? There's your set, there's your marks there.
Right.
You hold it firmly.
Yep.
I have to say, it is quite nerve-wracking, and although I'm just holding the set in place, I'm keen not to move an inch, otherwise it could be a disaster.
Okay.
There we go. Right, so one there.
But they're impressed enough to let me loose with the hammer, and the key here is to hit the hammer as flat as possible, otherwise I'll end up denting the metal instead of flattening it. With a weary arm though, I hand back to the professional, and I have to say he does make it look easy. The workmanship here is inspiring, and seeing how precisely Greg controls the hammer, it's no surprise that some blacksmiths were once called upon to perform dentistry.
Oh, look at that. That is absolutely glowing, isn't it?
And with a few finishing details, a piece of history is remade.
Happy?
Yeah.
Look at that, absolutely wonderful. Where's the old one? Let's just have a look at that. There we are. So, that's it, isn't it? That way around. Well, you did make it look very simple, but I can see it's very, very complicated. David, thank you very much for getting us down here, and I look forward to seeing that back in the Abbey.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, come on, who wouldn't want to live in a wonderful old property like that? Now, very shortly, we'll be exploring my final offering in this, our tour of some of the best historic properties that we've had on the show. But before we get to it, we've been through the archive, we've dusted off the tapes, and have this wonderful selection of some of the other properties we've had on the show for you to feast your eyes on.
In Somerset, I took a break and let Martin and Gail choose their own property.
They're all quite pretty. Take your pick. Which one do you fancy?
The one over there looks the best.
Yeah, that looks good over there.
And they certainly had an eye for historic properties, choosing a magnificent 19th century schoolhouse. I was just worried Gail wouldn't make it around to see all of the period features.
That is really nice. My heart's going.
Really?
Yeah, my heart's pounding.
It will take time, Gail.
No,
But the galleried kitchen soon had her fighting fit.
fantastic.
Amazing.
I think you're a bit lost for words.
I am actually, because I'm now thinking, right, there's more to this house.
There's an awful lot more. Open that door.
Open that door. I don't believe
Whee!
this.
Yeah?
Oh, yes.
Dear, that is just amazing. That's breathtaking.
Over in Suffolk, Tim Vincent showed history buffs Carol and Bill another lovely schoolhouse.
It's lovely, absolutely lovely. Love it. Love these converted old buildings.
Carol's enthusiasm soon rubbed off on Bill.
This is lovely.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, this is just the sort of room I'd like.
The modern kitchen had them arguing about the chores.
You see yourself washing up here and Bill doing some sunbathing outside?
No,
Other way round.
Up in Northumberland, Chris and Sally were bowled over by a battle house.
Wow. It's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous.
The fortified kitchen secured their interests.
The thickness on the walls.
Look how thick they are. That's pretty much a metre thick.
And outside, they didn't know what to look at next.
want it.
You want it? Ah. Now, I have to say, trawling through the archive, finding the best of the best for this show has been great fun. Not least this, my final offering for today's programme. It takes me back to one of the very first house tours I ever conducted on Escape to the Country. We were in Dorset in the company of Emma and Malachi. Now, they had £450,000 to spend to find their dream home, and for that money Emma wanted a kitchen that she could roller skate around. Now, the property you're about to see wasn't the oldest we've ever had on Escape to the Country, but it wasn't bad. It was Georgian, it was packed full of character and grandeur, and as for Emma and Malachi, it blew them away.
2 miles east of Dorchester, the pretty village of Stinsford has strong literary traditions. Thomas Hardy once lived here, and the village features as Malstrop in his book Under the Greenwood Tree. In fact, he was so attached to the place, his heart was buried in its 13th century church. With so much history in the village, I thought I'd start my tour with a little surprise.
I want you to look at that.
You got to be joking. You are joking, aren't you?
I think she likes it.
You are joking.
Now, this is very different to everything we've seen before, but it's very grand. It's a slice of manor house here in the middle of Dorset, okay? Built around 1750 by a lord for his naughty daughter, who ran off with somebody who wasn't of quite the right social class, so he built this for her and tucked her away out of sight down here. Is it of interest?
I'd like to be tucked away in there too.
Come on then.
Well, before they get carried away, I should point out that they don't actually get the whole building. It's been divided into 9 separate residences, but they are all still pretty grand in their own right. They retain all the original Georgian features, huge fireplaces, converted servants' quarters, and fantastic proportions.
So guys, this is your hallway.
Wow.
What do you think?
Very grand.
Yeah?
Very grand. Very, very, very nice. I'm absolutely blown away.
Interesting. I'm kind of surprised actually, because you love the cottage look, but
This feels like our own manor. We could be lord and lady.
I think there's a kind of closet Aristo in each of you actually.
And the 9-foot-tall fireplace would look right at home in the grandest of baronial halls.
Wow.
Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, there aren't many places with a fireplace like that, I can tell you.
I've got to say, no. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is truly unbelievable.
It's a fireplace your mates will remember.
I've got to say, it's very, very tasteful. It's beautiful. I'd move in tomorrow.
So they both really seem to have fallen in love with this property.
Lovely, great big high ceilings to these places. But these I love. Look at these.
This part of the house has always been grand, but the tasteful conversion means that the former scullery in the basement is no longer off limits for the lord and lady of the manor.
Wow.
What do you think of this?
Wow.
More. What could we do with this?
This is amazing.
You did say you liked the idea of a basement.
This is perfect. This is like a dining area. This is a really fantastic dining area.
This could be a wine cellar, it could be a music studio, this could be a games room. What would this have been used for?
This would have been storage, kitchen, servants' quarters, that sort of thing.
When Emma said that she'd love to be able to roller skate around her kitchen, I'm not sure she really thought that I'd come up trumps, but it's always good to fulfil someone's fantasy.
I love this kitchen. Malachi, get me those roller skates now!
This is very good.
What do you think? Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Handmade oak kitchen.
Lovely.
Now, is this a place you think you could roller skate around?
Absolutely.
I think it's a potential.
Jules!
There you go. Get your skates on, love.
Skates on, love.
And there's plenty more to see. Upstairs, first stop, is the master bedroom.
Wow.
Ensuite?
Yeah?
Grand enough for a lord, my lord?
My lord, I think it's, yes. Looks like I could have fun in here.
If I come and see you in here, I'm going to have to call you sir, aren't I?
I think you might.
The other 2 bedrooms and family bathroom aren't as grand as the ground floor rooms, but I think they do the job. The huge garden is shared with the other 9 residences. This really is communal living on a grand scale. This building may have an aristocratic heritage, but Emma and Malachi wouldn't have to be members of the landed gentry to afford it.
How much change do you think you'd have from your budget of £450,000?
There would be change.
This house is on the market for £440,000.
So you'd have £10,000 spare.
So you could buy it and go on holiday to celebrate.
Why would I go on holiday when I've just moved into this place?
I can see this has moved you in a way which, to be honest, I didn't expect it to. Go back inside, have a good look. It's a lot of money, all right? And tell me what you think afterwards.
Come, let's run.
Let's run, let's go. Wow, this one has definitely blown my mind away. Coming into the first main room, mind-blowing. I will absolutely say mind-blowing. Huge, beautiful expanse. I love the fireplace, absolutely stunning.
Did you ever think we could afford something like this?
No.
Something as grand?
No, not really. Dream come true. Final.
Well, what a house and what a couple. If only every house tour went that well, but there's no denying they certainly fell in love with a classic Georgian gem. And as you may recall, that was one of the very first house tours I ever conducted on Escape to the Country, and so I think it's rather a fitting end to this, our romp through some of the best when it comes to the historic properties that we've had on this series. I've certainly enjoyed looking back at them, and I hope you have too. I'll see you next time.
If you feel like escaping to the country and would like our help, then why not apply online at bbc.co.uk/Be On A Show.